Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew here with Crescent Vale. We're taking a look at a 2022-2023 Obsidian Mist insert from Shai. The OKC has been on a roll this season. Shai's been out with an abdominal injury, maybe just resting. Who really knows? Maybe it's a serious abdominal injury. But overall, the OKC has continued to do well in this season. And a bit of the backstory on this card, why we're going to talk a little bit about the card and the story behind the why I purchased this a second time. It's where last season, when OKC was kind of on the ascent, it was where I bought the card, this specific, different copy of it, at the beginning of last season. And it was the beginning of last season. So they hadn't really won a championship yet. They were still kind of developing as a team. But I was like, you know what? I love this look of this card. And I bought it in hopes that, OKC could make a run for the title. Usually if I spend, this was one of the more expensive singles that I had bought. And I'd kind of been buying a lot of retail. Occasionally I buy some hobby. And then it was, I just wanted this specific card in the collection. So as the card increased in value over the season, near the end of the season, I sold it. And yeah, it was nice to make a little bit of money on a singles versus hardly ever making money on retail, occasionally making money on hobby. So it was like a different way of approaching the sports card market. Instead of buying wax, I bought a single, saw some appreciation for the card, and sold it and thought to myself, wow, this is great. And then it started to like hurt a little bit that a card that I bet one of my first effective resales was with a this insert, and there's really not a lot of these. It's actually a pretty rare. These Obsidian. There is I did another card recently for Jalen Green, virtuous. There it is, virtuous, and it's the mist. I think the volcanic also. Any Obsidian insert. Honestly, I personally believe, and have your own opinion, I think they're very on the rarer side. A AI agent for the virtuous, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. It's an odd looking word. It's where an AI agent told me that like they can't say a specific number, but it kind of appeared that it was like less than 50 prints. This specific mist insert from the 2022-2023, I actually it's there's only a few copies of the sold. You can look into on eBay filter sold cards. This specific sold, there's probably 10. There's only one graded at a 9 PSA, and honestly, that's one of the only cross reference cards that I can go off of. I do use cross referencing when I do these self grades. Quick note, disclaimer: every video. This is a self-graded, essentially assessment. The grades that I'm giving are essentially my own. It is not guaranteed to cross over at a larger grading company at the same grades. The card is not guaranteed to increase in value with the grades that I'm giving it. Think of it as a raw card with a extremely detailed analysis. If you're going to buy it raw, just the level of detail that we're going to go into reviewing this card, using video, after I do my video, disclaimer's over now. After I do my assessment, I call it blind if you want. I go into an AI agent that's on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and it's Grok. And I take a bunch of close photos. The photos are then also used later in the eBay posting. I put a bunch of close photos into Grok and basically say like, hey, act as one of these professional companies, grading companies, and give me your assessment. So it's real interesting to see if you look at the posts that we do on crescentvale.com. If you look at some of those, and even in some of like the YouTube descriptions, the listings, occasionally I have the both my score and the Grok AI score. I'd say primarily 99% of the time we're pretty close. We did a immaculate card recently, and honestly it wasn't as close. I was a little more harsh than the AI, and I'll say that I've consistently been a little more critical of the grading than AI, and I feel like AI still has a bit I guess like catch up or development before it gets even more precise, the Grok specifically piece of software. And I think the more we grade with Grok and other AI tools, the more refined it can be, and hopefully the more accurate it can be. And sometimes maybe these professional grading companies are being too strict. Getting back into the card here, let's take a look and do some grading on it and see what our subscores are. So we'll start off with the surface. And the reason why I say surface is because I've already kind of looked it over and came up with a somewhat halfway score. We'll do centering after that, edges, and then corners and overall score at the end. But yeah, the surface is, the back's perfect. The front has what I call a dimple on it. And we'll kind of take a look at that dimple here. You can kind of see it's not even, it's noticeable. I think I even noticed it without zooming in. But you can kind of see it. And I don't believe it's on the line. This is a cloth that, if it was just, and yeah, that's what I kind of thought. I felt like it had more of a dimple than a, sometimes cards get like a piece of debris on them, but you can kind of see like small dimple, but still like, would take down the overall surface score. And I didn't see this with the naked eye, but you can kind of see what I would consider a print line running almost like kind of near his ear, north to south. So there is essentially one print line, one dimple, and I'm going to take a half a point for each of those imperfections off. So the front of the card would get a 9. And we'll see if there's any other imperfections on the surface of the card. And this is only I only saw the this indentation, print line, however you want to describe that. I didn't see that until I zoomed in on it. And one could say that there is almost some indentation there near his arm. So we could go down to an 8.5 on the surface. I think that's pretty fair. And I looked at the back. I couldn't find anything on the back with the naked eye, but now we're zoomed in a little bit, and let's take even more of a look. So yeah, the surface of the back of the card looks, I would say, close to a 9.5, possibly. It'd be hard to say it's a 10, but I'm not seeing any flaws on the back. So like a 9.5 on the back, 8 to 8.5 on the front, and I'm debating if we should move it to overall surface grade 8.5 or if it should be a 9. And one could say like, well, that dimple is an imperfection there. This kind of north-south indentation kind of brings it down. Definitely not in what I would consider, obviously not a gem mint. A 10 would be perfect, no flaws whatsoever. But with those two, I think we said 8.5. And with the back being pretty pristine at a 9.5, I still feel like 8.5 is the overall for the surface. For myself personally, seeing the 9 grade on the PSA, I'm not able to like zoom in. And again, this is why we do this. Like even when you buy a PSA and it's in a slab, or any grading company, I'm not going to really get into all the PSA increases in prices. They're going to do what they're going to do. I think Beckett also needed to do it. Personally, I hear they only spend like close to, I've spent 15 minutes per card doing these reviews. A bit of it is backstory, a bit of it is just entertainment. A bit of it is content creation to help people better understand the value of these cards. But if you buy a card in a case, you're not seeing all these imperfections. You're seeing a piece of plastic, hard plastic, usually over soft plastic. And what I just showed you in the video is stark different than getting a 9 in a case and not even knowing until you get that case at home the real imperfections of it. I mean, like Gary Vee talks about being, live selling and doing the wine stuff, and to a degree, he's right. If you're passionate about something, get online and make some videos. He Gary Vee is big into live selling. I don't know. I think on demand. I'm gonna watch the video when I have time. I don't really always have time to jump on a live stream. Personally, I think we're all pretty busy. So bless his heart, but I'm doing the best I can here. And 8.5 on the essential on the surface is where I can feel good and honest about that score. Sometimes I feel like if I'm not, I don't want to say ultra critical, but if I'm not more critical than I care to be, since this card has a lot of edges, I just want to be careful whenever I'm putting it in a piece of plastic. But if I'm not a good amount of being critical, I feel like I'm not doing my buyers justice. I feel like if I just, blatantly say like, oh, well, there's imperfections, but let's give it a 9.5. I don't feel great about that. And I think at the end of the day, why I do this is to help educate not only my buyers, but everyone watching too, so they can best self-grade. And before they may send it to a major grading company, they want to know which card's going to grade well. That's part of the deal. Why would you spend the money if it's not going to grade well? So we're looking at the centering right now, and the edge to the bottom is 3 millimeters, and we've seen it several times. That's kind of the distance that we look for from the border to the edge is basically 3 millimeters. And top to bottom, perfect. So we are right on, I would say, the money for the centering. And you can kind of see like it's a bit, let's say, a little bit harder to find like the left or right. But I can kind of see here that this is about the best angle I can hit it. And it's about 3 there. So the centering on the front of the card so far, 3 perfect grades. Let's see if we can get another 3 if it's not a little bit more than 3. So here it's 1, 2, I would say a little bit more than 3, 3.5. So I would say it's not a perfect 10. I would say 9.5 on the front. Let's take a look at the back and see if the back centering is also 9.5. And that'll help bring up that 8.5 surface, and we'd be hitting around a 9. And I honestly, before when I was looking at this card, I felt like it was close to a 9. Seeing the PSA, the card that I used as a reference, cross-referencing. So this top to bottom, it's close to being 3. It's, I would say, on the slight, but I feel like the centering on this being a 9.5 is as closely and accurate as I can be. 3 on that side. 3 there. Yeah, 9.5. It's not a perfect centering, so overall centering 9.5. Surface 8.5. So I think we're doing really well. Currently, we're kind of sitting at a 9. And the corners and the edges on this card is definitely opening room for errors, just all kinds of imperfections, because these mist cards, these die cuts, are the definition of tricky. And you can just, we can zoom in to see any imperfections that this might have. But boy, oh boy, it is, I would say, the most difficult die cut card to self-grade. Just because there is so many ridges to this. And, I'm looking for imperfections. I'm looking for if there's any chips along the edges. We'll go ahead and do the edges score first right now. And one thing about this card is and why I want to get it in a slab. And possibly, I don't know if I'll resell it or not, if I'll keep this copy or if I will go to sell it. Because honestly, I love the idea of having it in the eBay store to occasionally look at as I'm looking at my other cards. But I am also heartbroken that it might get bought, and then now I am out of a card that I really enjoy. So I am torn between posting this and not posting it. So I could say that like you could almost say like there's some, I would say like just it's close to perfect. I would almost give these edges in between a 9 and a 9.5. Probably going with a 9. Yeah, the front of the edges, this is, I think, a 55-point card. So the edges on the front, I'm leaning towards 9 because giving a 9.5 for something that's so difficultly graded would be, I would say, like slightly self-serving is a nice word. So we're going to go for the edges, and the corners as well is 9 areas. So edges and corners are going to go 9 on both of those. And that's an overall 9. And to be honest, the PSA card that I cross-referenced with this most likely isn't that much different than this card. It is going to be an overall 9 mint, and I'm not even going to put it back on the thing. We're going to end up putting it in a Zion slab, and then we're going to make a custom label. I'm going to make a video just on how we do our custom labels. I'm going to zoom out real quick. But yeah, we're going to put it in a Zion slab. We're going to make a custom label. I'm going to do a video on how I do these specifically, just a quick walkthrough on it. But it's really not that hard. You come up with your own logo, and we updated our logo recently after we started doing these. I've got pretty positive feedback on it. But the slab itself, like I probably could improve, and we might. I think we're on number 14 or 15 for these labels. And you can kind of see on the back, we put the number for each card that we have here. But right now I'm using just cardstock, and you can kind of see like, and I've done this a little bit by design. I've made the number pretty much the predominant focal point. The logo, I guess a bit of it's like you're trusting, myself and the brand to give you the most transparent and accurate subscores, but really it's the brand that you trust and the grade that you can visually see. The subscores right now, I could increase those because really my bottom line with the subscores, really I need the top 2 lines for a lot of text that times where cards just, they have a insert name, they're a parallel, they're out of this number, they're this specific company. The first 2 lines I kind of need, but the second 2 lines I could essentially start to update the label. So you might see that coming down the road. But anywho, thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to watch, and check back.